I'm gonna try something different this week. I'm just gonna like sit down and have a little chat with you about gear. That's like the #1 question people that make YouTube videos get asked is, what gear do you use? And I'm sure you're expecting me to be all, but it really doesn't matter, you know, the gear doesn't matter, it's what you do, anyone can make great videos with an iPhone. No, the gear does matter. That's why the big people on YouTube use $1,000 cameras and not just their phones. The gear does matter, but not just in YouTube videos, like in any profession. In any job, you will see the professionals use better equipment than the amateurs. Racing, construction, bicycling, and especially art, you know, music, painting, photography. There's a reason that professional photographers use like 5Ds and L lenses. It's not just because you can get a better picture with them than you could otherwise, which is true. This shot that you're getting right now, I could not get this on my cell phone, you know, and it's why so many people care about this, including me. I am very much a gearhead. A vlogger that I love, I will definitely scroll down in the description trying to find their gear I use with the links to, you know, all the Amazon pages. I'm just like that. The gear that you use does make a difference with the quality, the visual quality of your video, and sometimes just the quality of it. When you only have one lens, you are forced to be more creative with it, but it's still a constraint, you know? There's just some options that are not available to you if you don't have the means to get the shot. So reason 1 why gear matters, it opens up options. Reason number 2 why gear matters, it makes things easy. This week, both this camera and my backup DSLR and my G7X, all 3 broke, and so I was confined to making videos on this thing. And you know what? I did. But it was a whole lot harder than I was used to. I'm used to like certain luxuries now, you know, autofocus, the flip out screen, and being forced to work without those was frustrating. It was frustrating. Could I still do it? Yes. But it was much more difficult than I would have preferred it to be. And that can be discouraging sometimes when it feels like you have to fight with your gear, when you're fighting against your tools rather than working with them harmoniously. There comes a point when you're working with gear that there's so much that you have to pay attention to that it just becomes overwhelming and you can't anymore. The reason that travel vloggers use point and shoots like the G7X or the Sony, I forgot what that main camera, you know, the camera, the one, Canon fanboy, because carrying around too much big heavy equipment becomes an impedance to what they do, what they love to do. In the battle between image quality and convenience usually wins, because that's the way that our brains work. When we have less to focus about here, you know, making sure everything looks good, we have more to focus on here, which is actually making the thing that's supposed to look good be interesting. That was probably the most convoluted way I could have possibly explained it. Okay, another example. The camera that I use is the Canon 70D, usually with a 10 to 18mm lens on it, which is the setup that I wholeheartedly recommend to anybody getting started in making videos and wanting to use a DSLR. Why? Not necessarily because of the better image quality. This is the Canon 7D, a professional camera, and much better in everything than the consumer camera that I'm using now, the 70D. So why on earth do I use the 70D so much more than this much better camera? Ease. This camera lacks a flip-out screen and autofocus, which means whenever I want to vlog, I have to dial in the exposure just right beforehand, and then flip it around and attempt to focus on me without, like, I shoot blind, basically. Versus the 70D, I just set it up, point it in my general direction, and trust that it will keep the focus consistently on my face, which it does. The actual technical stuff isn't even in my mind at that moment. I'm just talking to you like I'm talking to a friend. That is what is most important with gear. It's how quickly it becomes invisible in your hands, how you don't even notice it. Well, Chris, if that's true, then how come every YouTuber ever says, oh, it doesn't matter what gear you use, just if you have a phone, you can start videoing with that. So I cannot speak, obviously, for every single YouTuber out there. And I do have to admit a little bit of hypocrisy, because I also give that advice all the time. The reason is not because it doesn't matter, as we've just discussed, it obviously does. The reason being time. Making videos is literally just like any other craft. The only way to get good at it is practice and practice and practice. And practice takes time and time and time. It's like the cliche joke, you know, how do you get big on YouTube? Start 10 years ago. Right now, one of my biggest regrets in life is that I was not posting consistently on YouTube until just a few years ago. If you want to get started in the world of video making, you have to start now, impulsively. That's what I did with my daily vlogs. It was one night, it was midnight, I was binging on my friends Twin Sauce, who are daily vloggers, and I thought, you know what, I want to do this. So without thinking of the ramifications or checking to see if we had any like big events coming up that I wouldn't be able to video, I decided right then and there, I'm gonna start. That was all the thought that I put into it. And I'm loving it so much. The thing that is most important is starting immediately. Because if you decide to wait until you have, you know, better, fancier equipment, then you'll probably lose the spark of excitement that you originally had. And no, because that spark of excitement is what keeps us all, I know it's what keeps me going. So it's not because gear doesn't matter. It's because what you have on you at the moment is good enough. It will have its challenges that you will have to deal with, like not being able to see yourself or having a lower quality video or having no control over the field of view or focus or any of that. But it's enough to start, and starting is the most important thing. That is why we say start with your phone. Because once you've been dealing with a problem enough where you get like fed up with it and are ready to move beyond, then you can start looking at DSLRs. And then once you get tired with the limitations of DSLRs, you can start looking at even bigger and better cameras like the Sony mirrorless. Like with me, I have run into the limitations of using DSLRs many times. Like the bitrate restrictions, you know, the lack of dynamic range is something that irritates me constantly. But I continue to use these DSLRs because they do what I need them to do well. Wow, it got dark. So that is why gear doesn't matter. But also it does. Also, wow, the sun just went down and it got dark like that. Man alive. But I am curious, like, are you a gear junkie like I am? Like, does it really matter to you? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Please, I want to read a variety of different opinions on this topic. And wow, I apologize. It's really getting dark really quickly. Let me know what you think. This is just a subject that does endlessly fascinate me. And I guess I will see you next week. This is a nice little change of pace. Just very much more chill, you know, more mellow. We're just hanging out and talking. Well, I'm talking. You're listening.